moment was just a huge, huge whirlwind. My feet was moving, but I didn't know where I was going. Felt like there was so much going on. My head was just overwhelmed by everything. I didn't know what to think, Monette.
Yeah.
I was confused. I was scared. I had to be brave. I had to buckle up because they never said where, what, when, how. I didn't know what state I was walking into.
Got it. Yeah. I didn't realize that no one had said that to you. I just thought you got the call and maybe things were said and discussed. And I do want to put a little disclaimer here before we go further. There will be some things, because this is still an active case, that we want you all to understand the story for those listening, but there will be some things that we will have to hold back a little and omit, only because this case is still being worked. And so we want to give you information so that you can help, but we also want to kind of protect the integrity of the case, okay? So I just wanted to say that, Donette, so that the listeners may understand if they're like, well, you know, okay? So
right, thank you. So when we reached there to all gather together, first thing I asked for was a church setting. I felt like this was my time, that I needed to ask God to help us as a family.
yes.
And to please help him. So I gathered my sister. I asked everyone to step away. The detectives gave us some privacy. We went and we immediately went into the church. We knelt down and we asked God to help us. Give us the strength that we need, as well as help him.
Right. And this was at the hospital that you had made this. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So they gave us our privacy. We took a moment and we reflected on the positive things from there, what we can do to make each other strong, how we can support him. And all the other things didn't mean anything to us. That was our moment to ask him to be graceful on him.
Yes.
So as time went, things changed, and it was a little tough for the family. It was very tough for the family.
Yeah, I can't imagine what you guys, the range of emotions that you guys were going through as a family. I imagine even now it may be hard to describe, but can you kind of describe what was going on as a whole, as a unit with you?
I'm going to say as a whole in a unit, my emotions was just flying really high. I honestly, I think I was just going off adrenaline. My main concern was to let him know that I loved him. I was there for him. I supported him. And he was going to be okay. I felt like at one point I kind of let him down because it wasn't okay.
You didn't let him down, Donette. I'll say that to you now because I have watched you take up this crusade to solve this case, and you have been vigilant. You have been a calm and steady hand when sometimes we have emotions that run wild, and I've seen your emotions, and I've known that they were running high, and I've known that you have had moments where you've broken down, but what I know is that you have never let up on the detectives. You have never let up on people that were questioned. You have always had a hand in this, made sure it got to the papers, made sure that you got as much notoriety and fanfare in regards to Kenny's case as possible. You are incredible, and I'm not just saying that to you now. I've watched you, and I've been so impressed with the fact that you have never let Kenny down in this. So please know that is not true at all. Do not say that, because it is not true. You still today are here standing in the gap for him and working tirelessly, even when your soul is broken in regards to this, to make sure that this case is solved. So I mean that, Donette, seriously. I've watched you. You've been incredible. I don't think I could do what you've done.
Well, I feel like he was robbed. He was cut short of his life to enjoy life, where this person that was so full of life, that loved life,
yeah,
it was taken from him. And from him, from his friends, from his family, like when holiday time comes, Kenny was the holiday. Like he was the person that brought the holiday party. Like he always wanted to make sure whatever we did as a family, we had a good time. If it was just getting together for appetizers or d'oeuvres, just he loved to be social. And it's very hard for us at holiday time to not see his smiling, handsome face across from us, to not hear his voice, to not be in his presence, to not see what he's wearing, not to have a hug or a kiss on the cheek, not to hear him.
Yes, you are absolutely right. In fact, I will say that the last time that I saw Kenny, it was a Super Bowl party that you had invited me to, and the first person that I see when I walk in the door is Kenny, fresh, head to toe, and he's welcome. He's saying, "Come on, Mo, there's food," and I stood outside with him that night, and we laughed and kind of chopped it up, and we were talking by the grill, and he was telling me jokes, and he was being funny, and it was a great, there was a lot of people. You guys always have a huge family of people always around. And so there's people coming and going. And he was telling the young guys, stay away from the cake right now. It's not time for that. He was keeping house in order. He was a man of the house. And it's just, it absolutely was devastating, I will say, because that Super Bowl is in February. This happens in March. I was shocked when you called me to the hospital that evening. I couldn't even believe I've never in my life known anybody that this has happened to. So I just couldn't even wrap my mind. Like I was just laughing with him and telling him he needs to cook my sausage longer on the grill. You know what I mean? I was just with him. So.
And he loved to grill out. He loved to party. It would be Friday and he would say, come over on Sunday, let's cook out. And that was his thing. He loved to be the socialite of anything that he planned. So he was very, very social. He was Johnny on the spot where today let's barbecue and let's just make it big. Let's just do whatever. We're going to go out and get this and bring it back and just have a good time. He loved that.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So I can take some joy in that beautiful memory that I had with him, which I didn't realize would be such a special thing at that moment. We're arguing over Franks and which Frank is the best, and you get Hoffman's or whatever. And it's those little things that you appreciate when a situation like that happens. I didn't realize at all that it would be the last time that I would be able to interact with him on that level. And so for the family, and I'm just a friend, I've just met this person within the past 10, 12 years and they've always been great with me. But I want listeners to put yourself in the place of a family. Put yourself in the place of Donette and put yourself in the place of her mother and sister and family and the extended siblings and nieces and nephews that lost somebody too. When someone is taken from us, it's not just us. It's not just that person that's gone. It's a ripple. It affects so many people. And that's something that I wanted everyone to know. And when people pass, I've had a lot of clients and friends question me, like, what happens? Well, I don't know the answer exactly. I'm only gathering data just like the rest of us here on Earth. But I know you and I have had some conversations about Kenny being gone and actually kind of communicating. Do you feel that this is a valid and real thing, Donette, that it's possible for people, loved ones, to communicate after they're gone?
Absolutely, Monette. I absolutely agree. I've had the pleasure to have Kenny in my spiritual presence several times. There's not a day that does not go by where there's a reminder of him, where I feel his presence, where something that's happened that reminded me of him that he used to do or that he did is within my daily walk.
Right.
I'll give you a perfect example. The day that it all happened, the week before that, I was blessed to have my first house. And the week before it happened, I closed on it. And he was supposed to come by that week, but he ended up having to work. So he didn't make it that week. So that day it happened, which was the day I was getting off early, I told him when I got off, we would meet at the house because he was so excited for me. He said, we're going to go, he used to call me Net. So he'd say, Net, let's just go pop bottles, meaning let's go celebrate and have a good time.
Right.
He didn't care what time of day it was. It was just my celebration, my good news, and he wanted to be part of that. So he said, let's pop bottles tonight. So it was a Friday night, and I said, great, when I get off, I'll go home and change. And he was going to help me clean up and kind of clean the house down so we can just kind of put our little style effect on it. So it never happened. So I was very sad, the fact that the one opportunity that he had to see it, it didn't happen that Friday, but the next week Friday, it never happened. So when we laid him to rest, I let him know where my house was, and I told him he's always welcomed, and I'd love for him to see it since he never got a chance to see it. So he took a part of my happiness with him, knowing that he's always got a home. And several times throughout the day, throughout the week, I know his presence is here. He's found me. He absolutely loves my house. He comes all the time, and he hangs out here with us. I feel his presence. I feel his spirit. I have his blessings on my house and over my house. So he approves. He loves it. It's his home away from home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you were also telling me about a particular dream you had, and that I thought was, man, for people that have ever wondered, this dream is a way to kind of erase any doubt she might have about communication and how it happens.
Absolutely. Well, so much time had passed. I never really dreamed about him. Within the 5 years, I probably dreamed about him maybe 2-3 times. But I always feel his presence. So I know he's around, but I don't really see him much in my dreams. But there's one particular night, it had been a couple of years after I, settled into my home and settled into laying him to rest. And I was sleeping. And sometimes, they say when people are on your mind, you dream about them. When you go to bed and they're on your mind, you dream about them. But I don't recall this night being any different than me constantly having him on my mind. He's always on my mind every day. But I didn't think it was any much more than what I had been the day before.
Right.
So I laid down to go to bed, and I can feel myself kind of drifting off into this dream. And I fell off to sleep, and I started dreaming about driving somewhere. I don't know where I was driving to, but I was driving in my car, and you know how you kind of waiting to merge into the next lane?
Right.
And you're just hoping that one person would just give you that opportunity to slow down.
Yeah.
Or just kind of give you the head nod to say you can go in front of me, and I'll hold back the traffic while you can sneak in and merge in front of me. Yes. So I was hoping for that one opportunity because the traffic was coming in constant. I believe I was getting on I don't know if it was a highway or just a really busy street that can merge into that lane. And I remember someone in front of me in a black Nissan, and I want to say it's an Altima. It could have been a Maxima, but I remember it being a Nissan. And it was polished, and it was clean, and it was freshly dressed, should we say. And the music was pumping, and it was banging loud, and I can hear the music from the car, but they acknowledged the courtesy to slow down and let me in front of them, even though they was in control of the whole lane. They had this was their lane, and they allowed me to step into that. So as the person gave me the okay to merge in front of them, I did, and I picked up speed to go fast. And as I picked up speed, I looked back to the side of me as I was passing that car to wave my hand and say thank you, and I realized it was my nephew. It was Kenny in that car.
Which lane was he in?
He was in the right lane.
Okay.
So as I look back, and as I'm driving slowly past him, I can see the fitted hat that he always wore.
Yes.
He was scrunched down in his